Thank you very much. Good morning, magandang umaga po to the 40 participants here at Zoom, to those watching us at Facebook Live, and to those who are physically present at the AVR room of the UP Open University. My name is Joe Florendo, and I will be your host and moderator for this morning's event. Welcome to the search process for the next Dean of the Faculty of Education for UP Open University. And I will now turn over the floor to the chair of the search committee, Dr. Joanne Serrano, for her opening remarks.
And also those who are as Zoom and also via web streaming. So welcome. This is part of the process of the search for the next Faculty of Education. So ito pong process has started last October 28. Ipa namin sa inyo yung mga timeline for this search process.
Hello po.
Paano kaya to? Can something be done?
Nominee, and also those who are here with us, after the presentation of the nominee, you will really actively participate. Ito po ay para sa future ng ating universidad at ng Faculty of Education for the next 3 years. So yun lang po. Welcome everyone and good morning. VP Joe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joanne Serrano. Just a few house rules. This meeting is being recorded for documentation purposes. To those watching us at Zoom, kindly mute your microphone and turn off your camera. These should only be used during the question and answer portion. You may write your questions or comments at the chat box in Zoom, the comment section of Facebook Live, and to those attending the event physically, you may write your questions on a piece of paper and hand it to one of my colleagues there at the AVR room. Kindly indicate your name, and if it's okay with you, please indicate whether you're a member of the faculty, reps, admin staff, alumni, or whether you are our student. We will let the presenter talk first, after which she will be open to take your comments and questions. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now introduce the lone nominee for the next Dean of the Faculty of Education. Ladies and gentlemen, I am privileged to introduce Assistant Professor Cherise Tongson Reyes. Assistant Professor Reyes has been a faculty of the University of the Philippines for the past 18 years. She joined the UP faculty in 2004, graduating cum laude with a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry degree from the UP Los Baños in 2004, and placed 7th in the 2004 Chemistry Licensure Examination. And she joined the UP-OU Faculty of Education in 2013 and has been an active regular faculty member, researcher, and administrator, taking only a respite for her Doctor of Philosophy studies at Monash University, Australia, since 2019 and up to the present. As a teacher, Assistant Professor Reyes has taught in UPLB and writing also chemistry laboratory manuals, and at UP-OU she taught courses in the Bachelor of Education Studies program in 2014, and the AA program from 2015 to 2019. And as a researcher, she has published 5 peer-reviewed journal articles and made 13 paper presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce Assistant Professor Cherise Tongson Reyes to give us ideas about her plans and programs for the Faculty of Education. Madam, the screen is yours.
Thank you, VP Florendo. Maraming pong salamat. I'd like to thank everyone who's here at AVR to join us, and those who are joining us via Zoom and via all the social media sites of UPOU. I'm here and very honored to present to you my vision for the Faculty of Education in the next 3 years, should I be chosen as the next dean. I never imagined it was difficult to articulate one's vision until I was writing one a few weeks ago. It's totally different from following someone's vision than articulating your own vision for such a prestigious institution as that of the Faculty of Education. They are totally different things, following one's vision and articulating your own. So anyway, I will try my best to express how I'd want the Faculty of Education to be in the next 3 years. Before I proceed, I'd like to thank the persons behind the nomination letter. They've been very generous enough to say kind words, Professor Pat Arinto and Dr. Wen Raimundo. Also, I'd like to thank all the support expressed in the nomination letter from the members of the Faculty of Education, from faculty reps, staff, and its students. Colleagues from UPOU, thank you very much, as well as those coming from other UP units. I'm also grateful for the recommendation and endorsement from former students coming from UPLB and UPOU, as well as collaborators within the Philippines and outside the country. Thank you very much. I'm also appreciative for all the efforts and for all the work that for all the hard work that the chair and members of the search committee are doing. Thank you. I am not without mentors. Many of aspects of the vision that I'm presenting to you today, I've actually gained from several mentors along the way. I've been with the university for 18 years, and in those 18 years, I've met invaluable mentors. I'm also grateful for my PhD supervisors who are now at the University of New South Wales, from Monash University and from the University of Queensland, who've been very supportive of every career path, every step in my career path, including this deanship. I'm due, my thesis is due for submission next week, and I'm here doing the presentation instead of doing my final revision. So I'm really thankful for their understanding and accommodations. Of course, I have friends who are very supportive of this endeavor. So maraming pong salamat sa inyong lahat. I also wish to acknowledge the people of the Kulin Nation on whose land Monash University stands. It is a tradition at Monash University to acknowledge the place and the traditional owners of the land on which ideas and knowledge are generated and constructed. And I'm doing that now as I wrote my concept paper for this vision statement while I was in Australia a few days ago. I also pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Vice President Florendo already mentioned about my journey from being a faculty member of the Institute of Chemistry at UP Los Baños to being a chemistry and science educator at the Faculty of Education. I am a hardcore chemist. Legend is that I was named a legend there. That's true, and I take pride in being a legend of analytical chemistry. That's what my training is. I'm a hardcore chemist, organic chemist and analytical and natural products chemist. I had productive 9 years of research, or more than 9 years of research doing smart biomaterials and nanotechnology. and a very brief stint at exploring electrochemistry. At one point, my administrative training started at the Institute of Chemistry, being the course coordinator and the division head um, of one of the divisions at ICUPLB. If you would like to have an idea, the institute has like 100 to 120 faculty members. 1/5 of that was the size that I managed for a few years. Then in 2013, it was a momentous time for me because I shifted my career from being a chemist to being a chemistry educator when I was generously accepted as a faculty member at the Faculty of Education here at UP Open University. I was an assistant professor in 2013, and my first task on the first few weeks was to prepare for courses for chemistry, prepare for chemistry courses for chemistry teachers. It used to be that I prepare courses for chemistry for students majoring in chemistry and allied fields of chemistry. And then from there, I also started teaching science education courses. And because there's a need to institutionalize the NSTP program and to strengthen the program within the university, I also took over the CWTS courses. So it's a little bit diverse set of courses in terms of the different courses that I was able to handle within the faculty. I was also course developer for many of these courses. So from scratch, some of them were actually newly revised during the time I started teaching them. So I had to prepare course materials for those units, so for those courses. But we were kind of oriented by the Dean of the Faculty of Education that we are not only how say get if I want teachers, then there are many choices, but you will also become administrators in the future. So you have to prepare yourself, and the preparation is far different from being just. I'm not saying just teachers, that's wrong. I'm saying there are additional roles that all of us at the Faculty of Education will be handled in the future. That's how we were oriented during that time. In a month, I was already appointed as the first faculty secretary of the University of the Faculty of Education. Within 6 years, I was also chairs of 2 undergraduate programs and coordinators of several other academic programs. So you can these loads, of them all want to. That's how we in terms of power during that the manpower was, but nevertheless my training as an administrator was already very productive during those years. My research activities, because I was already at the front-facing side of the faculty's transactions, I was interested in providing student support to our enrolled students at the Faculty of Education. So some of my research activities are also towards that area. Later in the years, I was invited to become part of big projects, multinational projects, and funded. So my interest actually expanded to mobile technologies for learning, open educational resources, multimedia learning, and learning analytics. Right now, I am still a student, honestly, at the School of Chemistry at Monash University. And I'm hoping to submit next week. My supervisors are very positive in terms of the progress in that regard. And my project is actually on fostering accessible online learning environments for chemistry. The research activities involved in that project, huge project, if I may say, is number one, accessibility in online learning environments, instructional and learning design involving multimodal learning, and learning analytics involving temporal sequence and process mining techniques. In the 18 years that I've been with the university, I've gained several of these beliefs, and I feel like I need to articulate them so you understand how I am as a leader. These guiding principles I've been able to gather because I was actively engaged with several university activities, and my mentors were very generous enough to share their wisdom. So in 18 years of service with the university, I've had several. The first that I learned when I was 20 years old was that the highest form of academic freedom is the freedom of the institution, which means that you will always have to think about the betterment of the institution. That's the highest priority, not personal gain, not personal desires, but what's good for the institution. It's not only programs, it's also partly the students, all members, to remind myself it's for the institution's sake. I've also been taught that a leadership position is a position of service, not power. Also, a strong leader is passionate about developing and empowering leaders around them, and I am one fruit of that passion by many mentors that came along my way. They've always said, if you want to become a leader, how you should be. So they let me tag along in everything, so that I be training myself and preparing myself for any day like this. And I'm thankful for them. I'm hoping that in the future I'll be mentoring people, because I also believe that I will not be in this position forever. This will just be a momentary transit in my academic career. I also believe that it is important to have vision, and you have to share the vision to your constituents and to other stakeholders for them to understand what you want the faculty to lead, where you want the faculty to lead. So it is important so that everybody will know approach anything, especially unforeseen circumstances. They will always look for that vision, and that vision should be the thing that we will follow. Quality leadership also means nurturing all its constituents in terms of facilitating their personal growth and professional development. And I am one of those living testaments of how important it is to all possibilities and potentials, to maximize their potentials. And lastly, I believe that transformative programs, positive leadership, and stakeholders' committed engagement are keys to impactful contributions to the larger community. We are not in isolation, we are part of a bigger community, so we have to make sure we take part in their growth as well. The following are my vision and mission for the Faculty of Education. As I mentioned earlier, vision is important for me, and it is, I liken it to something like a beacon of light from a shore where all ships could sail to, regardless of where they come from, regardless of how diverse we all are in terms of our context and backgrounds. We will all lead towards something that's common to all of us, and that is our shared vision. So it is important for us, for me in particular, that people understands and shares and commits to the same vision that I have for the faculty. But that doesn't mean I am having that narrow perspective. I will explain that later. I envision that the faculty will be able to re-articulate, we will be able to revitalize, strengthen, and re-articulate the role of its academic programs in the society in order to achieve its mission of contributing to shaping the community through transformative practices in teaching and educational research. Again, I cannot overemphasize the importance of these statements, because these are the guiding light that will help us navigate our next 3 years at the Faculty of Education. To be able to achieve those mission and vision, I am proposing the following activities. And before I go any further, I'd like to acknowledge that these plans and programs are not possible without the support of everyone, the constituents of the Faculty of Education, the engagement with the other two faculty offices with FICS and FMDS, with the commitment from the university administration through the Office of the Chancellor, and also through the help and support of the university system. I envision that these programs will not only benefit FED, but also benefit the university as a whole. Again, our goal is to provide quality and equitable higher educational services and impactful academic programs, especially to the non-traditional, underrepresented, and underserved learners. And I'd like to propose two main programs. One is to aim for quality improvement of our degree programs, and second is to strengthen the significant pillars of our degree programs. Currently, we have 2 undergraduate programs plus 1 recently approved, 8 graduate certificate, postgraduate diplomas and master's programs, and 1 doctoral program with 4 specializations. It used to be that we are less than 15 faculty members, and our degree programs are, in terms of number, greater than the number of our faculty members. Right now, I'm happy to know that the size of the faculty has already increased significantly. So the following activities are, the following aims are the following are the goals the following are the envisioned goals that I have for FED. So number 1 is for us to re-articulate the direction and relevance of each of our programs. The programs have been there for maybe more or less 30 years or so, and it is high time that we, and the community around us has already changed a lot. It is important for us in the faculty to make sure that our programs are still relevant at this point. We will reposition ourselves in the ODEL context, especially after the COVID pandemic. I believe that we have very high potential to play a significant role in the promotion of ODEL, open distance and e-learning context, especially in the higher education sector. We will conduct several impact assessments to see whether are we really making significant, relevant impact to the community. Are our programs helping the community in any way? What metrics are there to support our claims that we are relevant? These are the things that we will address in the next 3 years. We will undertake program review and revision, and we have to make sure that these academic programs, these degree programs, are still aligned with national and international standards of quality and benchmarks. Right now, the university is gearing towards AU and QA framework. I was still at the Institute of Chemistry when I first heard, and when I first underwent training for AU and QA. I know how rigid the requirements are, but they are good measures. Actually, they are good measures for determining whether our programs are at par compared to these national and international standards. We also want to become one of the leading teacher education programs in the country. So I don't know how I do that right now, honestly, but I have that vision that maybe one day it will become the center of excellence in teacher education program. We will be one of the centers of excellence in teacher education programs in the country. I was at the Institute of Chemistry for several years. We were the COE, so I have that proud feeling of being one of the COEs. Plus, I know there's money in it, so that's one thing that we will explore in the future. The other pillars, the second part of my plans are within, it will involve strengthening the pillars of each of the academic programs, and I am identifying the first 5. I acknowledge that there might be more, but right now these are the important ones, at least in my perspective. We acknowledge that The support that we are getting from our affiliate and adjunct faculty members are invaluable. And we have to return that support with them. In one way, I'd like to propose an institutional support for faculty and course developers. I understand that the Office of the Academic Support and Instructional Services of the OVCAA already has a program with this, but I'd like to expand the program to make sure that we are covering programmatic support for course design, implementation, and evaluation of each of the courses that we offer at the Faculty of Education. So I'm hoping to closely work with OASIS in this regard. I also hope to have an improved efficiency in terms of our administrative policies and processes. I'm very much grateful for all the work that our staff have been doing in helping our affiliate and adjunct so that we'll have an easier transaction with them. But I think there is always room for improvement in that aspect. So I also am very passionate about student support since I've started working at UPOU. So I'd like to institutionalize support for students from their admission to graduation. I understand that the Office of the University Registrar already has established some of these aspects, but we also wanted to have an equivalent version of that at the faculty and in a programmatic level. It's not only because we have demands or we are just being reactive towards any concerns at a particular time, but we wanted to anticipate each of these demands at every aspect of our students' life while they're at UPOU. So in that case, I'd like to propose programs that will promote student success as while they are here in UPOU. The needs of the undergrads and the graduate students are totally different, but there's some common ground between the two. So we will make sure to identify each of the uniqueness and each of the commonalities. And we will try to address them as efficiently as possible. We also hope to address issues that relate to student retention. Last graduation, I had people like saying, oh, I finished my dissertation for 5 years. Like that's 4 years of coursework plus 5 years of dissertation. I know there are many other reasons for the delay, but let's explore what are the other potential student support system that we could provide our students, especially those who are undertaking research programs within FED. I also hope that there's better ways to do student academic processes and procedures. Since 2013, I've already been involved in conversations with regard to academic processes and procedures, and it's an evolving concern. So each time there's a different version of the same concern. Hopefully we could institute something that's more programmatic, as I said earlier. I also would like to foster a vibrant and flourishing community of people within the Faculty of Education. We are still people at FED. And I have to, as a dean, it is the duty of the Office of the Dean to make sure that the welfare of these people are well taken care of. In that regard, for example, for regular FED faculty members, it is now high time to emphasize the need for an organizational core staffing pattern. What are the expertise? What are the backgrounds of these 30 or so faculty members that we have in the faculty? And how are they aligned in terms of faculty development programs? It is important for the growth of the faculty to be able to acknowledge the strengths of these regular faculty members and address whatever gaps we have. And we can actually identify those by laying down the core staffing pattern for the faculty. For reps and administrative staff, I cannot promise an additional item for all of us. I don't know how to go about it. I just know that we need more people doing administrative functions because we have so many academic programs. We have thousands of students every semester and every trimester. What I can only do is to make sure that we get a balance of this workload and for workload every day, and that our welfare each one's welfare is taken as a priority. We will also encourage people to undertake professional development. Those who will need to go for their master's degree should go for their master's degree. One is already looking at me with a very curious reaction. Some people at the faculty will need to have their master's degrees taken. There are also some professional development training, especially those who are performing administrative duties that involve purchasing, procurement, project management, and other things. I also wish to foster a healthy research atmosphere within the faculty. And with that, I'd like to have the university mandates as a research university as our main focus. We are, I'd like to emphasize the importance of acknowledging that UPOU is a research university, and we have to have that rich scholarship flowing year in, year out, not because PBB requires it, but because it feeds our scholarship, it feeds our practices in the education field, it feeds our it feeds our pedagogies, in short. So we will encourage that. We will begin by identifying FED's research strengths and capabilities with the increased size of FED's faculty members. I have to make sure that our research capabilities are well understood to maximize that potential. Ayoko silang sayangin, you know. We have to reap the expertise that we saw in them when we hired them. So I will establish that for the whole faculty. I will also hope that those strengths will contribute to optimize the agenda, the research agenda of the faculty, so that every year we'll feel accomplished with the things that we have done. We also hope to provide support. It's always a problem for faculty members to have, say, aim one publication per year. Ibabalik nila sa akin yung question, what kind of support do you provide? I've been taught, teach first before assessment. Provide support first before expect anything. I have that kind of thinking. If I want each faculty member, on the average, to have one publication per year, then there has to be a mechanism and a platform that will enable them to do so. Reps, staff are also encouraged to do the same. So there has to be a mechanism for not only mentoring, but collaborative work that will enrich their scholarship. I'd like us to have, to re-articulate our position in the higher education and discipline-based research, in inclusive education, including gender, and indigenous people's education, alternative education systems, flexible modalities, and graduate employabilities and others. There are so many areas that I'm not sure whether we are touching at this point. We have a very diverse set of faculty members and reps, staff, and RAs in the faculty. We will make sure to optimize their skills and their capabilities to achieve this research agenda. We will pursue further research on technology-enhanced and enabled pedagogies and educational technologies, especially that with COVID, I think we have a very good potential to, name Faculty of Education as one of the leading research facilities when it comes to education research. And of course, we'll encourage course-related research that will immediately have an impact on our delivery of our courses and academic programs. That includes the design, evaluation, and positioning metrics along the way, and of course, learning analytics. In my very far view, I just want to articulate that I have a dream of having a center for the learning sciences at the Faculty of Education. I had that vision from when I started my PhD at Monash, and I've been exposed to different areas of research, at least in the science education field, not just chemistry, but all fields in science, engineering, and mathematics. And I feel like we have the potential to be able to pursue and establish this center, this research center. In my far view, very far view, I'd like to emphasize that because I know research centers the institution of research centers will take so much time and resources and all the effort. But I will encourage the members of the Faculty of Education to contribute brick by brick until we present a proof of concept for this particular research center. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of work from the members of the faculty to make sure that we are laying down the groundwork to prove that this is a feasible aspiration. We hope to be the lead facility for research in the following key areas: management and quality assurance in higher education, which should involve student support and faculty support. We will be the lead, I hope that we will be the lead institution for instructional design and learning design research areas, for inclusive education, for learning analytics and educational technologies. It's such a huge, ambitious dream of mine, but I'm just sharing it anyway. Okay. Lastly, we hope to be the gateway to institutional, national, and international research collaboration that I hope to yield sustainable resources for the faculty in terms of its instruction, research, and extension services. I've seen extension facilities in UPLB, and their models are actually working. The extension and research facilities are actually feeding funds to their instruction because instruction does not usually have money, right? So they get money from all of these extension facilities to sustain the needs of instruction, and we hope to do that. The last pillar of my plan is on extension services and community relations. We hope to maintain lasting relationships with our community. The most immediate ones are to engage the Fed alumni, make sure that we track them and to monitor their progress as they go into the graduate employability scene. We maintain our linkages with them and we join them in regular Fed community activities. We hope that we establish at the faculty level a system for sustainable institutional community relationships rather than just individual ones. I myself have numerous networks. My other colleagues from the faculty also have individual networks, but are they sustainable? If I'm gone or if I go somewhere else, will I bring those networks? That's not supposed to be the case. The faculty should be the ones benefiting from all of these networks anyway. We will endeavor to develop programs that lead to direct and immediate public gains. This is a difficult task, but we will aim for that in each way. I've seen my former deans to be doing this exact work, so I know this can be done. We will continue building new networks and strengthen existing ones, especially because UPOU has been here for almost 30 years, and it has already established its place in this community. Now, I'd like to emphasize that one of the goals of the Office of the Dean is to generate resources, and I'm looking at it in two ways. So one is resource management, human resource management, and funding support. None of these two would be possible without the support of the university. So hopefully we can collaborate with the university, with the system, and with the other two faculties to maintain these resource generation schemes. So number one is to nurture and empower existing human resources I mentioned earlier, and to maintain and strengthen collaborative networks at the institution and individual levels. For example, right now I have collaboration. I've worked with people from Australia. I've been introduced to very generous and kind people there, and so many projects are in line for me in the future with them. Collaborative work with them. I hope that the faculty will also benefit from those networks. We will also explore internal funding in terms of money. We need that. We can't operate without money, so I'm just being honest about it. We will look for money. We will also maximize opportunities such that external funding will be optimized. We will make representations at relevant higher education, research, and ODL communities so that we can get an idea on where the money is. Okay, I don't know if that's how difficult that task is, but we will hope. I am not at all visionary. I also am acknowledging potential challenges and impediments in the next 3 years should I become the dean. One of which is that I'm coming directly from a study leave. The last 3 years and 9 months, I've been away with COVID in between. So many things have already changed within the faculty and in UPOU, and I have to reintegrate myself, reorient my vision and my perspectives, and I consider that as one of the possible risks and challenges. I also am aware that I could have, as a dean, it's not good to have unshared and narrow vision. I acknowledge that these vision statements I presented today are my vision based on how I interacted with the faculty in the last 9 years. But there are other perspectives to all of these items, and I have to acknowledge that people will have different views on these items. Some may say that I'm too vision-oriented, but I could lack some concrete plans, and I acknowledge that. This is not a work of one person. What's important is that I'm articulating my vision. If you agree, thank you. If not, let's discuss and offer me an alternative vision for any of these aspects. I'll be very open to discussing with you. There will be some challenges in terms of resource generation, and I also acknowledge that. And also other vulnerabilities that I am unable to name at this point. This is how I feel. Honestly, I'm trying to grab all the pieces and I don't know how to do. But actually, it's not a job on my own. It is actually a job of many people to put the pieces together. I'm not doing this alone. I have committed people behind me to help me along the way, and I trust that the Faculty of Education, the university, and the system will help us achieve all of these goals. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much. Okay, let me just do a recap. Can I be heard now? Okay, thank you very much. The beliefs and the guiding principles of the nominee is that the highest form of academic freedom is the freedom of the institution. She believes that a leadership position is a position of service, not of power. And a strong leader is passionate about developing and empowering emerging leaders around them. The nominee will pursue vision-oriented strategies, quality leadership, transformative programs, and positive leadership. She has outlined her plans and programs for instruction, teaching, research, academic and student support, and her plans for resource generation and establishing linkages and networks. Maraming salamat po for your report. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the question and answer portion. And if you have any questions, if you are attending via Zoom, please put it at the chat box. If you are viewing this through Facebook Live, you may enter your comments and questions at the comment section. And if you are at the physical venue, please write it on a sheet of paper and hand it to one of my colleagues. We will begin with the questions at Zoom, and I will be asking my colleagues to help me read the questions at Facebook Live and those at the physical venue. Okay? Madam, maraming salamat po ulit for your presentation. I now see a raised hand. May I acknowledge the Vice Chancellor of UP Open University, Vice Chancellor Jean Saludades.
Hello, good morning, Cha. Thank
morning.
you for your presentation. That's very comprehensive. I really like, as the program chair of ASEAN Studies, I really like when you mentioned about your inclusive education trust, particularly for indigenous people. And my question is on the place of alternative education in the open education landscape, in FED in particular, and in the broader sphere, how how alternative education would figure in the program of FED. That's my first question. I have a second question, but first question first, if okay with BP Joe, if I ask that one question first.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please do.
Yeah. Yes. First question first, yeah. And then I'll ask the second one afterwards.
Thank you, Vice Jean. Yeah, when you think about alternative education systems, there's a infinite number of them, infinite possibilities, because we're not just, it's like this is the traditional set of students, everything else non-traditional. That's the easier way of thinking it. And for every set of student in this outside the Venn diagram, if you look at, outside the non-traditional set, outside the traditional set, everything is non-traditional, everyone is non-traditional. So that's already different kinds of alternative education systems. If we are thinking seriously about inclusive education, it's no one's left behind. It's a difficult task because each unique attribute of the student has to be addressed. Just in developing course materials, for example, just in chemistry, the one involved in my project, I was just looking at one specific aspect of diversity. And yet, that's already a huge amount of work. And I acknowledge that because there's variety, wide variety of alternative education systems in the Philippines alone, I think we have to plan very carefully in terms of those aspects. So, una na po dyan is, of course, we have already established adult education. We already have established lifelong learners. Now, we look at students with disabilities. We aren't identifying anything yet, right? I'm not sure if we are addressing all of these concerns. I'm not sure. Do we have programs for indigenous people's education? There's a rich area of pedagogical practices for indigenous people sector. I've been involved in one project while I was at Monash. I looked at the development of curriculum for indigenous science. And because we have so many indigenous people's communities in the country, each one will have a different context. And in terms of alternative education systems, for them, baka hindi na po appropriate yung existing. We have to contextualize each one. So we have to have a framework for all of these varieties in terms of non-traditional students. Madami pa pong iba, pero we will look at it. Hopefully in the next 3 years, that's one of the things that we can pursue.
Thank
Did
you.
I answer your question? I'm sorry.
Yes, Cha, yes. VP Joe, if I may ask the second question.
Yes, ma'am. Please do.
Apo. Cha, you mentioned the research niche that you think FED should occupy. My interest is, what is it that you wish FED to be known for, if there's just one? You mentioned about the Center for Excellence. And what is that particular research niche that you wish to be known for? Thank you.
I really envision when I was doing my PhD in Australia, I was like, sana kaya din namin gawin yan sa Faculty of Ed. I've been exposed to higher education. So kahit man lang sana yung higher ed, occupy natin. Masyadong malawak. The ODEL landscape is very wide. And there's so many aspects in that. Even if you just focus on higher education, that's already a lot of work for FED. So to answer you simply, ma'am, it's basically higher ed plus ODEL. and everything within that sphere, where higher ed and ODEL. So lahat po kasama na dyan, instructional design, kasama na yung faculty support, kasama na yung curriculum development, marami pa pong iba. Pero ang bottom line po, it's ODEL plus higher ed para sa akin ha. Kasi ang mga programs po namin, our degree programs are focused on teacher development. Maybe not the traditional teacher development programs because we are doing it in a different way here. But we are still doing it in higher ed sector. Many of them are still in higher ed sector. So siguro po when it comes to research, we'd like to begin with that. Not necessarily end with that, but maybe begin with that.
Thank you, Thank you, VP Joe.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor Jean. Always nice to see you, ma'am. Okay, there's a comment at Zoom. I hope the incoming dean, well, she hasn't been chosen yet, okay, may be able to hasten the pending updating of remuneration and pay rates. I like the idea of strengthening networks and linkages within with the industry. That is from Professor John Del Rosario. That's just a comment, ma'am. Ma'am, while we are waiting for other questions, I would like to have my own. Which of the programs of the incumbent dean will you highly pursue, and which program, based on what you discussed, will be your banner one that you will like to be remembered with after 3 years? Thank you.
I will admit that this question is something that's difficult to answer because I don't have brain cells anymore.
It's okay, ma'am. It's okay. We understand that you just arrived from a trip. It's okay, ma'am.
But yeah, one of the things that I envision at the end of the 3 years is that we have a stronger Fed. When we say stronger Fed, people's aspirations are alive. One, they know they can identify their directions because it's an indication that if people within Fed are motivated, it's a good environment within Fed. I think. I remember when I was very young at Fed, ang daming trabaho, sobrang daming trabaho. But I always keep on telling my friends in Fed that, you know what keeps me alive every day is that I love my job. I like what I'm doing. I like where we are going. Laging ganon. Lalo na pag very physically tired na kami. And I keep on telling them, I'm thankful I like my job. I want to be able to share the same passion to every member of the faculty. I don't know how they do it, how the previous administration did it, and how that has impacted me. But I was always like that for several years. I like going to office. I like doing my job kahit na po yung papel sa harapan ko dahil ako'y secretary ay mas mataas pa sa akin. But at the end of the day, it's always like that. I like my job. I want to pursue what I'm doing. And I want to be this person every day. Maybe yun po siguro yung gusto ko, at least within the Faculty of Education. Outside the faculty, all of the plans I presented earlier are the ones important for me.
Thank you very much. The dean who has motivated her people, okay? Yung excited pumunta sa work every day, okay? Thank you very, very much. The chair of the committee, Dr. Joanne Serrano, will now be reading questions from the physical venue. Ma'am?
Thank you po, Sir Joe. Okay, so we have 2 questions here sa ating site. So the first question, well, actually 2 questions to in one paper. How will you ensure a healthy and safe working environment for all faculty and staff of FED? And if there is any misunderstanding or conflict in FED, how do you plan to resolve this?
I just came from 3 years, 9 months of PhD stint in Australia. And I tell you this, it has been a vacation for me. literally. Of course, I'm not saying PhD is easy. I'm saying life in OU was more difficult. So if you're imagining what PhD is, PhD abroad is more difficult. PhD in COVID is more difficult. But I'm treating it a little bit more like a vacation. but that doesn't mean there's, so they have a framework for making sure that everybody works safely. You know, at Monash, our first introduction to a building is not just safe spaces, but it's actually safe working environment. What does it mean? Number one, healthy people. We work within our expected goals for the day, and the expectations need to be realistic. I think one of the things is, I think we set ourselves too much of an expectation that they become unrealistic physically. That's one of the things that I remember. Nakita nyo naman kanina, di ba? I had multiple roles in one day. All of those roles are different. And I don't think that's going to be healthy. So I'm not doing that. So siguro ganun na lang yung approach ko dito. I know which aspects are difficult, so I'm not going to repeat that. I was joking at one time, I think last Friday, to some of my friends. Sabi ko, ang meetings dapat, they will start at 9 in punto. Come prepared. We finish it as much as possible within the time frame. That's another safe working environment condition. So we set up these kinds of condition. I know it's going to be difficult because there's only a few of us, and we have a very big role in the community. I'm aware of that, fully aware of that. But we can always manage our expectations such that we also don't suffer physically. Like, it's a reality if we get sick. I don't think I can pay for your medical bills, right? So yun, siguro yun, we set up platforms for healthy and safe working environments. I've learned some from my 3-year stint abroad, but let's hope that we can do that as well here. The other one is in terms of conflict. I also learned this very recently, that when you discuss conflicts, when we deal with conflicts, the first thing that you have to do is to let the emotions die down first. Don't push it when everyone's at the heightened emotion. Everybody has to calm down. And everybody has to think that this is an avenue for adult people, and we should be able to have logical conversations, free of emotions, so that we can understand each other. The other aspect to conflict resolution is actually understanding the other person. As much as you hate that person, you have to understand the context where that person is coming from, because that will give you a different kind of enlightenment in terms of how to deal with that problem. I've been in several conflicts in the past, and I think becoming almost 40 years old will help you, understand the dynamics of a conflict resolution or a conflict management. I still have to learn more, honestly. I still have to learn more. But I think those are two things. Number one, understand the context of the other person, even if you hate that person. The other one is actually to discuss it only when both of you are calmed down, and because you have to discuss at the level of logic and reason. Feeling ko naman po kaya naman natin yun.
Sir Joe, may isa pa pong
Go ahead, ma'am.
question. When you become dean, what will be your first order of the day?
Siguro po ang question ay if you become a dean. Siguro po dun tayo sa if you become a dean, what will be the first order of business? Joke lang po ito nung pinag-uusapan namin to with my other staff. My first order of business is to look at our finances. That's my first thing. So I think I'll go get to see Ate Ami. Yun yung una kong gagawin. And then, syempre hindi lang pera lahat to, di ba? Funds is important in operational expenses. And I have to know whether I could support everybody with the money that I have for the faculty. The second day will be reorganizing the Faculty of Education office. So that means the core members of the dean's office. Kasi sila yung magre-reintegrate sa akin. Take note na tayo as administrators, we are only here for 1 or 2 terms, 3 or 6 years or so, di ba? Sila, nandun na sila. So, alam nila yung dynamics and I trust them. I fully trust these people to help me navigate through all of these negotiations. Sasabihin ko na din po yung susunod na linggo. Kasi naplano ko na po to. Sabi ko sa inyo, foresight eh. Vision, di ba? I need vision, foresight, sabi nga nung madam namin. Foresight. Pero, so after nun, ang susunod na po ay faculty. And then, isa-isa kasi hindi ko sila kilala, honestly. I don't know them. Many of them, I personally don't know them. And I think it's important for me to know all of them so I could position them. We are all pieces of the puzzle, remember. And for me to be able to know where to put them into their proper places, I need to know what they are able to do. Ginawa din yan sa akin nung nag-hire sa akin sa OU. I think 2 hours, 3 hours yung interview niya sa akin. Twice, I think niya ako in-interview. Inalam niya lahat ng kaya kong gawin. And then, at the end of the day, she'd say, oh, these are the things that you could do. I'll put you here. I want to do the same. Exactly the same. And I appreciate her trying to understand my skills and my skill set, the things that I could bring to the faculty. Because those are the things that are invaluable, actually. Training, years of training and educational background. I need to know that as well. So it's not going to fit in a day. In a day, feeling ko, ano lang yan, high and low, to be honest. But yeah. Thank you.
Ma'am Joanne, may iba po bang tanong sa floor?
Wala na po sa ngayon.
Okay. But as regards the first question, conflict management, I like that. Let the emotions die down first and to understand the context. And as to the second question, Ma'am, you started with a word that is music to my ears to take a look at finances or cash flow. Thank you. Among others. Okay. Thank you. Ma'am, a question from me again. How will you balance the need to finish the doctoral program with the demands of the deanship?
I think my supervisor is here watching me.
Hello,
So-
hello.
Here, I think. We've been doing hard work really in the past 3 weeks to make sure that all of my revisions are done by next week. I'd be very honest with all of you. My submission date is next week. So ngayon po, honestly, we're kind of doing the line by line. I have 3 supervisors. My other supervisors have already sent me their feedback. So we're already at the end of the thesis revision prior to submission to examination. So hindi pa po ako gagraduate soon. It will take 4 to 6 months maybe until I could say that I'm already done with my thesis. The only confidence that I have is that I have a group of supervisors, well-renowned in the field, highly acclaimed, experienced supervisors. And they said, I don't have confidence in myself and in the quality of work that I do, but they said, we will not let you submit anything that will not pass. It's not an assurance that I will pass, but they will exert every effort to make sure that the work that I submit for examination will be acceptable for a doctoral degree. Sa ngayon po, at this time, we are revising, actually we have a meeting later, to continue revising 7 more chapters, 8 more chapters. But that's going to be finalized until next week. After po nun, honestly, I also have a contract because I was granted another scholarship for 8 weeks from January to finish 2 papers. Also from my PhD, already published 2 papers at this point. Another 2 papers coming from my PhD, which I will need to submit by January and February next year. The deanship will begin by the 1st of March. By then, I will be very ready. Weeks before that, I think I'll be, few days, sorry, not weeks, but a few days before March 1. I'll be fully committed to to working again at the Faculty of Education. I'm actually excited to work again, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm just trying to focus on finishing this thesis.
Okay. Sige. We would like to recognize the presence of Dr. Sarah Kine. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Good morning from the Philippines. I will now proceed to the next question. This is from Professor Diego Maranan. Is there a current practice, initiative, activity at UPOU or in your faculty that you think needs to be reviewed, revisited, or stopped altogether?
The one thing that really comes to mind is aimless meetings. I'm really tired of aimless meetings.
Aimless me, okay.
I don't know which meetings those are, but I think we are spending too much time in meetings
That's correct.
that at the end of the meeting, you still have deliverables to do. The deliverables are not confined in a meeting. The deliverables are after the meeting. So, or before the meeting. So the meeting has to be just, catching up. Sabi ko nga one time, if it is a catch up, name it as a catch up. 1 hour per week, name it as a catch up. Wala kayong pag-uusapang business. It's important for social relationships in a workplace to maintain catch up days. Even I put that in my calendar while I was doing my PhD. I have to step out of my work. Because when I come back, Monday morning, for example, 8 a.m., I'm very focused because I missed my work over the weekend. My supervisors are very particular in me taking breaks because they said it is important for your mental health. If you want to be successful as a person, you want to succeed in your goals, you have to set time for everything. There's time to work, there's time to rest. And I'd like that for us to practice, at least in the Faculty of Education. I know it's going to be difficult. I know. I'm a workaholic. I work timeless days. No concept of day, no concept of time until now. So I know how difficult it is. But we can take it one step at a time so that hindi naman tayo sumusuko na ito na yung end natin. Very unfortunate yun that we don't do anything about that. Okay. Siguro po yun. We set time for everything. I think I will try to practice that within the faculty. We're not putting, ayoko rin maglagay ng barriers. Like, wag mo akong kausapin ngayon. Hindi rin ganun yun. That's not what I meant. We're not putting any lines. We're not drawing any lines here. We will just try to improve our life at UPOU. I think yun po yung gusto kong sabihin.
Thank you. There is a time for everything. So long meetings is a current practice that the dean will try to minimize or stop altogether. So we expect a dean to have the short meetings. Thank
Because
you.
I remember po, sorry po,
Okay,
VP.
ma'am. It's okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please proceed.
I remember we have like that conversation earlier on when I was here. It was like, I think at one point we said, I think at one point the dean said, it seems like our meetings are getting longer. We make it more frequent then. I think yun yung naging resolution nung time na yun, kung hindi ako nagkamali. Kasi nga na-observe na masyado nang mahaba yung meeting. By mahaba, that means 3 hours. 3 hours of meetings. And then the then dean said, okay, let's meet more frequently. So that we take the ideas in small pieces and we engage with them better. I think naalala ko yun, na ganun po yung ginawa namin.
Okay. 2 comments from Zoom, from Mark Badrona. Thank you for your comprehensive presentation, Professor Cherise Reyes. And from Professor John Del Rosarios, I think this is a comment related to the meeting. Then I think what's important is not just having a start time for meetings, but also an end time, and to be super strict to finish the meeting on time. Okay. May I ask my colleagues whether there are questions at Facebook or from the floor?
Wala pa po, Sir Joe, but I would like to ask a question.
Sige, ma'am.
Okay, while waiting for a question from other colleagues. My question is, when UPOU was starting out, the flagship program was teacher education. In fact, the reason why UPOU, prior to UPOU, there was a project on upgrading, specifically in your area, science teachers through distance education. But as you know, through the years, the enrollment in these programs have dwindled. But I think it's still very relevant. 28 years ago and until now, that program, that flagship program, is still very relevant considering the current status that the Philippines is in terms of science education and teachers teaching sciences. So what do you think, is this in your plans or vision? And if it is, how do you intend to somehow improve that particular programs? Thank you.
Well, there are particularly two programs for science teachers, science and math teachers. Nandiyan, we have the PhD in education, major in 4 specializations. And of course, we have DST with 3 majors. I think we need to re-articulate the vision for these programs. Kasi when we established the DST, for example, 30 years ago, there was a different set of teachers which were our students. Right now, we have a different demand for teachers. The courses that we have in DST also need to be upgraded, to be honest. Kahit yung chem lang yung tingnan ko. Before I left for my PhD, that's one of the things in my notes, that when I come back, I'll look closely into the DST program and see how I could improve it in terms of kasi chem, kahit yung 6 na courses sa chem o 7 courses na yun for chemistry major, they really need upgrading, honestly. And then for PhD, I think the faculty also need to express its vision in terms of how do we want our PhD graduates be. Look, our PhD program has been part of several conversations in the past. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin namin ma-pinpoint ano ba talaga yung gustong naming improvement na mangyari sa kanya. Kailangan namin, feeling ko lang ha, this is just my perspective, I think we need to cater to students who are doing higher education for our PhD and basic ed for our DST. I don't know now how to bridge DST to PhD. Alam din natin yon kasi may mga proposals din coming from Fed for masters in science and math education. There are 3 programs all in all that we need to tie together: the DST, the masters, and the PhD. Our students from the DST, are they able to go to the masters? Is that the path that we take? At this point, I can't answer that question yet, but definitely the quality of the program need to be assessed. And that will give us an idea on what type of students are we really offering these programs, and what areas do we want to cover in terms of teacher education program for the science and math ed. I have ideas, but my ideas are confined in higher education and in science, in chemistry, to be more specific. But we will explore that and we will continue the conversation. We already have conversations around these programs and how to improve them. We will pick up from where previous administrations have already left off, if I become the dean.
Okay. Diego, I see your hand, but just a quick, I just have to ask this from you. This is from a student. How will what are your plans to address late feedback and grades?
Yeah.
Parang napag-isip po kayo. Mahirap talaga to. Mahirap to.
Marami siyang, there are several confounding factors. And I'm acknowledging them, honestly. My problem is how to support the faculty. So again, I have to understand the context. I'm coming from this position of trying to understand the context so I could help the faculty. One faculty to another, there are several needs. And I have to make sure, I'm not saying I'm promising or anything. I have to look at their perspective, through their lenses. Why is there a problem? In particular, meron akong sure ako na problem. For example, we have very large courses. When I was the faculty secretary and coordinator of PTC, I said to our faculty office that we should offer only courses once a year so that students will not jump. So we have 6 courses in PTC. That's Professional Teaching Certification Program, 18 units. Each trimester, we offer ideally just 2 courses so that students will take the courses in batches. If we offer more than 2 courses, say 3 courses, how many combinations of courses will a student take? Even if you tell them, these are the 2 courses that you take, they will have their own autonomy. They will decide on which 2 courses. The following semester or trimester will have a different set of courses again. So if you can see, it's a tree diagram of possibilities to accommodate all of the learners. We hope that no student would get delayed. So nagsabi ako, once a year lang ang offering ng courses. PTC has a very huge cohort size of like 300 to 400 students. And if they will only go into one course once a year, the faculty in charge will have 300 to 400 students. So that's a different context. Definitely, late ang grades ng mga yan.
Okay.
Parang ganun po. So I think it's important for us, for me, or for whoever the dean is, to understand the context for each of these teachers, to be able to provide the support. And I know there's already a problem for late grades, but we will try our best to support the teachers without compromising the progress of the student. Siguro yun yung mahalaga. We make sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. This is addressed to the committee. May we have a copy of Professor Cha's mission and vision and also the plans so we can talk about them amongst ourselves. Also, personally, Marie Sol Hidalgo is very excited to hear of the new plans and directions. Our last question for today's event will be coming from Professor Diego Maranan. Diego?
Thank you, VP Joe. Apologies, Cha. I was giving a talk earlier, and so I missed the first part of your presentation. So if this has been answered, please ignore na lang. How do you imagine your relationship with the other 2 deans to be like?
Professor Diego, it hasn't been asked earlier. So,
Okay.
Madam, yeah.
Thank you, Dean Diego. As I mentioned earlier, one of the important resources for the faculty is its engagement with the other 2 faculties and with the rest of the university. Despite the fact that we have individual directions, there is a need for, we are working within the same university. Your goals as the Dean of FICS will impact the goals of FED. In the same way as with Dean Joanne here. Her goals for the FMDS may or may not impact the goals of FED. So it is important for the Dean of the Faculty of Education to make sure that a healthy relationship among the 3 deans is fostered, right? So my vision of a dean's position is that it's a very strategic position. You have people under you, working with you at the faculty office level. You also have people working with you outside the faculty. So I have to make sure that the 2 are not in conflict with each other. The goals of the university should be aligned to the goals of the faculty, vice versa. So I think that vertex, if we can call that a vertex, is a strategic position in the university. I don't know if that answers your question, Dean Diego, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Assistant Professor Charis Reyes, for your presentation and for answering the questions in today's event. As your host and moderator for today, I would like to thank you all, and especially to those who asked questions. To my colleagues at UPOU, I am proud to say that I have been the UP President's representative for all three faculties of UPOU this year. So thank you very, very much. We hope to see you in future activities for the search process. Thank you. And it's now time for the chair. I will now give the floor to the chair to close the program. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you po, VP Florendo, and thank you everyone.
Okay, so thank you everyone. Let me just acknowledge, I wasn't able to acknowledge earlier, the presence of our Chancellor Mel. I think she's on Zoom. Vice Chancellor Jean, Dean Baggy, other SACE colleagues, si Dean Diego pala. Also Dean Pat, I saw her name, and I think former Dean Teret is also in Zoom. Okay, so let me just look for the timeline. Okay, so just a reminder, this is part of the search process. So we just had the presentation of the incumbent dean yesterday. Today, the presentation of the lone nominee of her plans and programs for FED. And then the next activity, please calendar this. This will be on December 19, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday. This is 8 to 10 faculty, 10 to 12 reps and admin, students 1 to 3, alumni 3 to 5. And then on December 22, Assistant Professor Cha, please calendar this. December 22, this will be Thursday, 9 a.m. This is the interview of the search committee with you, since you're the lone nominee. And then again, dahil po holiday season, mag-resume na ulit kami. Ito po ay approved by the Chancellor. The preparation of the search committee report will be from January 2 to 6, looking at my colleagues sa search committee. And then the report submission to the UPO Chancellor on January 6. So with that, I would like to thank everyone for coming and for your active participation in this activity. So see you in the next activities of the search committee. Maraming salamat. Thank you, Sir Joe. Thank you, colleagues. Bye-bye.